Hey, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Internet Friends. The episode where we escape a chain gang and go searching for treasure that Seth tells us is completely real.
We don't have enough chain gangs anymore. I was thinking about that watching the movie. I never see them anymore.
Well, we. Trust me, they still
Good
exist. They're
takeaway.
just not necessarily chained up. They're more or less working on assembly lines.
Oh, yeah, you got to press those license plates out.
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
you. Yeah, I've seen movies. I know what prison's like.
It's like you watched like the first 3 episodes of Orange is the New Black and then fell off like everyone else.
I actually watched a couple seasons.
I did too.
That goes down as one of those shows where I've never actually sat through and watched. I can just tell you everything based on what I saw on Tumblr.
That's probably fine, to be honest. I only watched it because I had my wisdom teeth taken out, and it just kept playing. I was like, I'm not gonna get up. So,
Really, I was high off Oxy when I had my wisdom teeth taken out.
They gave you
Yeah.
Oxy?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
probably the
I
same
miss
age
Oxy,
you when you
dude.
were
Oxy
snorting
is
it.
so good. Yeah. Yeah. Good old Oxy and hydromorphone. So good.
So that is a minute and 30 seconds to get to dark humor on the episode. Good job, guys.
record time, but maybe not.
No, we've definitely got there faster.
Possibly last episode.
Yeah. Oh, it was in the cold open.
I was about to say we kicked the door in on that one. That wasn't even a no knock warrant. It was straight up just the battering ram. Person, shoot him.
Woof.
Oh.
I'm just gonna see how dark I can get before you guys like end the call.
Before we stop coming.
Before we quit again.
Let's see. Brie has 8 quits. I think I have 1. Seth, I think, has quit 3 times.
Yeah, 2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
It's fine. I'll just find new guests. It's fine.
Like you don't already have backups for us lined up.
Apparently,
That's why we've been bringing Meg in.
Apparently, statistically, we're already like past like where most podcasts like fall off. Like apparently, like over 90% of podcasts like don't even get past their 4th episode.
Huh.
So we've
Yes.
already beaten the odds, guys.
Hey, good for us.
I love that.
Now we just got to get those listeners.
Well, I've noticed that whenever we have Meg on or where we're talking about vampire twinks seems to be the episode. So more vampire tweaks and more Canadians.
Vampire twinks. All right, I'm making that note. More.
Already make
twinks.
the tech bros mad. I think that works pretty well too.
That works well in the shorts. It doesn't work well in the long 4 episodes.
Yeah, they don't have time for that. I get it. They're busy
No.
making money, making moves, probably.
Or just being in a ton of debt and claiming they have a lot of money.
Could be that.
Longest opening tangent of all time, guys. Great job.
Thank you.
So proud of us. So, anyways, how we been? What we've all been up to?
I saw Alien Romulus, and I'm still mad that they didn't have that alien head bucket.
Yeah.
That was why I went to the theater instead of pirating it, and they didn't have it.
Well, I didn't get
Sad.
to fuck the Wolverine popcorn bucket at Deadpool and Wolverine, so like you and me are just like trauma bonding right now.
Yeah. I got the KY jelly. I was ready to lube that thing up and just shove it right on in, but no, it just. And I went to a Regal. That one had the mouth too. It's dual purpose.
Just missed opportunities all around.
Truly.
Yeah,
Brie, what have you been
Did you
up
like
to?
the movie?
it was great. I loved the movie actually. No, I'm a huge Alien fan, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said in my tweet, like not tweet. I don't have Twitter anymore, but
It was on IG stories, I believe. Where I saw it.
yeah, I was like, I like fan service when I'm the fan being serviced,
Right.
and that's what this
Fair.
movie was.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, Brie, what have you been up to?
It's same. My life is just work all the time, but soon. In fact, I had today off. I'll have Fridays off going forward in September, and I'm so fucking hyped for that. So, I'm excited to not do anything and stay home and not socialize. So that's the plan. Because let me tell you, I make social plans and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do those. That's too much effort, and also things cost money, and I just can't. So I have one social plan this weekend. I'm trying to get in the habit of like just book one social thing. That's all you have the capacity for. So that's good.
See, I have the opposite of Shu, where it's just like I need to start being more social because I'm falling into a hole,
Mhm.
and it's just getting worse and worse. So like I need to actually start going out and doing things.
I get that. It happens quicker than you think. I feel like you're like, I
It
just don't want to hang out with
does.
somebody this weekend, and then you're like, oh, have I not seen anybody in 8 months? Oh no. Whoops.
Have I not spoken to my friends in how long?
Yep.
Like,
You have a baby now? It's 3? What?
full transparency. Part of the entire point of starting this podcast is just like man, I don't like having conversations with anybody who lives near me. It's just like, Seth, Brie, what are you guys up to? You guys willing to make a twice a month phone call just so I don't feel alone in the world?
I was dating
Here we
someone
are.
once who was like, I sometimes I feel bad that like you don't have any friends who live near you, and I was like, no, that's on purpose. That's
Yeah.
intentional. I don't like people near me.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, I was just like, I don't have any work friends. All of my work friends from previous jobs are now too busy with their current jobs and like having kids and stuff to like have time. To which I'm just like, yeah, no, respect. And then of course, like moving all the way across the country from where I grew
That will
up.
fuck up some friendships.
Yeah, it also makes it harder as an adult to make new ones.
Making
Yes.
friends is
Yeah.
hard. That's all there is to it, to be honest.
It
So,
is.
especially in your 30s, like late 20s, it's difficult.
And it's harder when you're an adult because now you become more solidified in like your worldview and the things that you enjoy and stuff. And so like you're just like, oh hey, you seem pretty cool, and then they'll say something and you're just like, oh, never mind.
Ah, you want to go axe throwing at a bar?
Axe throwing seems like such a bad. I don't know if I told y'all I went on like a work outing and we did axe throwing, but there was no person there to assist with the axe throwing, so it was just axes and like they're like, oh Brie, do you want to try some? I'm like, fucking no, are you serious? Like
I feel like
absolutely
if
not.
you offer axe throwing at a bar, there needs to be somebody with a breathalyzer who's just like, if you're above like the legal limit of alcohol, you're not allowed to throw an axe.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
Well, they're basically just big darts, and we've been doing that forever.
Yeah, but like it's different than like pulling a dart out of your arm versus like if you accidentally just like lodged an axe in somebody's head. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Cartoons have told me different.
True. There actually was a place, I think in Ashburn, Virginia, near where I live, that like advertised like we have axe throwing and go-karts, and I was just like, so basically you're just making like really like realistic Mario Kart is what I'm understanding. It's like you're racing and then just throwing stuff at other people, which I'm down for, but
Yeah.
Sounds like two
Seems a
liabilities in the
little
same
dangerous.
place. I don't know about that. So
Oh,
I haven't
dude,
done that.
they're doing so many weird mixes. They like opened a shooting range that's also a cigar lounge and a gym.
That makes more sense to me.
It's like, so go do your workout, shoot a gun, and then go like light up a cigar and kill your lungs right afterwards.
At the same time, you're smoking the cigar, doing a rep, and firing at a target.
Like for the most part, I do most of that at home though.
And that's why you keep the cops called on you all the time.
You know, I'm white, so I get away with it.
Not wrong. Not
No.
incorrect.
Very, very factual statement.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Off to a roaring.
Coming in hot this episode. Yeah, except
Yeah.
Best first 10 minutes of the show of all time.
no question.
Anyways, so moving into our homework section of the show, this week was Seth's pick, which was "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," which was a movie produced in 2000. Actually, it was the year that it came out, which again, insane to think of how long ago that was.
Does.
Directed by the Coen brothers and starring George Clooney, and yeah. So, Seth, since this is your homework assignment, I'm gonna go ahead and let you take it away.
The music in this movie is fucking phenomenal.
Slaps so hard.
Like,
Good.
I really like it. I had forgotten how loose of an adaptation of the Odyssey this was until I started watching it.
I actually had to go and like re-look up. It's just like I don't remember like all of the Odyssey, so I like watched a Crash Course Vlog Brothers video just reviewing the Odyssey. So it's just like, okay, got it. I can now like put the pieces. But yeah, very loose adaptation, but it's there.
It is there. Other than that, what did you guys think of it?
They shot cows very early. There's a lot of animal abuse
That's-
in this movie, and I fucking hate that. I love
That
cows
was literally
so
the
much.
scene where that was literally the scene. It's just like this is where we're gonna lose Brie. As soon
So
as
Yeah,
yeah,
shut
one
it
of
off.
my notes. One of my notes is he didn't need to shoot those cows. Also, did you notice that when he's getting dragged away by the mob at the end of the movie, they are yelling "cow killer" at him?
yeah,
I did not notice that, but I love that.
yeah, I did. Well, yeah,
I
Just
noticed
the
that this
cows.
time.
Well, then they have the cow like literally like walking behind them in the back of the mob.
Oh, I didn't see that either.
I love that. They squished that frog too. That poor cute little frog.
Yeah, poor little
Yeah,
frog.
did they have the disclaimer that no animals were harmed in the making of this video? Because this was like the first time I was like genuinely concerned.
Probably they haven't been allowed to kill animals in movies since like the 70s.
I guess that's true.
It was very realistic looking though. I was very upset. Again, I fucking love cows. I was like, oh, this movie sucks.
I mean,
I was kind of wondering how they did that.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, aside from, like, the last, like, 15, 20 minutes of the movie, like, it's all practical shots and effects. There's not really anything that is, like, not in camera, so I was, like, very curious of how they did that.
Yeah.
But that CGI in the last, like, 15 minutes was just very jarring.
It was very 2000s.
Very 2000s.
A different era.
Yeah.
George Clooney's handsome. I did have that note. He's a handsome fucking dude. That's all there is to
My first note that
He
I
really
had was,
is.
like, it's just, like, this is probably peak George Clooney.
No,
Great
he's
hair
great.
in this movie
Yeah.
too.
Yes, he's just a fucking
That's
good
all that
looking
pomade,
dude.
all
Having
that
6
Dapper
kids?
Dan.
Ooh. I'd have 6 kids with him too, let me tell you.
That's
wouldn't.
another note I have is they had a lot of kids before he went to jail.
That's my
They just-
note too. So many kids, fucking 6. That's not
I think another one of my early notes was very specifically, it's just like, okay, so we're like 3 for 4 on baptisms in Seth's homework.
Yeah, it does happen a lot, doesn't it?
I was just like,
I tend to vibe with that, I guess. A note, glad I was never baptized. So,
I think my exact note that I wrote down, which I don't have in front of me, was just like, figure out religious trauma joke.
It's in there somewhere.
But yeah, between this, BioShock Infinite, and like you could argue The Matrix has like a baptism-esque scene. After
It's a Jesus allegory.
yeah.
Mm.
So like I was
So
just,
is RoboCop.
so what we're establishing is that there's a theme when it comes to Seth's. So
I was actually noticing that while watching this, being like, oh, I forgot how much religion is in this movie.
well,
Like,
I mean, it is a movie that's centering around the South in like
That's
this
true.
specific time period. So like, kind of hard to get away with that.
yeah. Anyone else got notes before we get moving in further?
I did want to mention, as just a small like side note, so like the KKK scene, I was a little bummed because the leader has such a nice singing voice, and I was like, I hate that I'm enjoying this. I feel very mixed about
Right.
this. And that song is also the same. I was like, I recognize this song.
Yeah,
Where do I
I had
recognize
that.
it from? It's the theme song of Until Dawn. So
Oh,
Yeah.
little throwback.
I had that same
But yeah.
reaction because I remember Emily has like a mixed CD that we used to listen to in college, and like I think that was actually like one of the songs that were on it, and so I recognized it instantly. And I was just like,
Yes.
well, that changes my relationship to this song pretty significantly.
Unfortunately. His
Yeah.
voice was so good though. I was like, fuck, God, this sounds really great.
no, I don't like how I'm liking this, man.
Exactly.
Again, like I said though, the music all around is phenomenal. Like everyone who sings in the film is great.
Mhm.
All the harmonies are beautiful. I too would succumb to such sirens is a note that I have.
That's on brand.
I'd let them turn me into a toad.
I get it. They were hot.
Yeah. Ah.
As sirens should be.
What they do best, as it were.
Aren't they canonically only singing is the part that's beautiful, and they're actually like horrid beasts when you see them in
Yeah,
I
person?
believe so. Yes.
that's the basic consensus, and like it plays off in like lore as like the men are so delirious from being at sea for so long that hearing the beautiful song and then just seeing like women for the first time in God knows how long, they're just and then by the time they're like able to like up close and see, it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This brings me to a thing I heard about mermaids a little while ago that I thought was really funny. Is that in Asian cultures, mermaids are seen as like a bad omen, and that like it's just not a good sign. And in Western society, we saw them and went, "I won't fuck that," and I just found that funny.
That's on brand for Western cultures. We like see something that other people are just like, "Oh, that's not good," and we're just like, "But can I stick my dick in it?"
We can make this work for sure.
Okay, we can do this.
No, so like kind of getting into maybe some of the more nitty gritty details of the film. So obviously it's based off the Odyssey, which story that's like in the Greek oral tradition there has been published works of the Odyssey, but a lot of stuff is lost in translation. I kind of like this adaptation of it a lot better than I like the Odyssey.
I would agree with
completely honest. In fairness, the Odyssey is very outdated, but
super old.
Yeah.
I mean, they removed a lot of the adultery and murder out of this.
They did.
So,
which some would see as a downside. I think it's fine.
I think it works for the context that they were adapting it. And I think, adapting it in the South, like, in the early 1900s, post Civil War and Reconstruction, like, it makes a lot of sense, especially when you consider that, like, the Odyssey, like, takes place, like, after the Trojan War and, kind of, like, really exploring kind of, like, what it's like to have to reconcile your identity after, like, such, atrocities.
Yeah. Brie, I'm getting the feeling you didn't like this movie very much.
Oh no, I did. I was trying to look up because I'm a like my type of neurodivergency is like mythology. I think mythology is so fucking interesting. So an Odyssey retelling was super interesting to me, but like I didn't see a lot of the parallels, so I had to look up what the like outside of honestly the siren scene. I was like, okay, like I kind of see it, but I don't see where it exactly is. But I found and honestly, I think this was like from a student or something, but I thought it was kind of interesting how they put the parallels together. Like I was just reading, so like obviously Odysseus is the main character. That makes sense. But like Pete is the crew's mutiny. Delmar is the crew's foolishness. George Nelson is cattle of the sun god. Tommy is Athena. So like they literally have like each part like is a direct correlation, which is really interesting.
John Goodman's character is supposed to be the Cyclops that he blinds.
Yeah, like that's super cool. I didn't notice that, but that's interesting.
But
I thought it was looser than it was.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where if they didn't tell you that this was an adaptation of the Odyssey, it's something that you could totally miss. Like
110%.
Yeah, no, I had to be told that.
Yeah,
even though it says right at the beginning, like based on the Odyssey. I was 8 the first time I saw this movie. Okay,
that's crazy.
Right. A note I have, speaking of John Goodman's character, is he's a Bible salesman, and a note I have right away is there's always money in God, which Christians are shysters.
Yep. It's like Christ is always willing to make $1.
No, well, Christ wasn't, but his followers sure do.
Yeah, that's true. But
he was actually quite against it. He chased a lot of money changers out of a temple, in fact.
Yeah, trying to tell Christians that Jesus was a Jewish socialist who, hung out with prostitutes really gets them going.
It does. It really does. They're actually, I was reading a story or an article recently that a lot of preachers have been saying they're having issues when telling the story of when Jesus is telling you to be nice to people, with people in their congregation coming up to them and being like, "What's with all this woke shit? Like, that's not my Jesus." And that it's starting to become like a concern among a lot of priests and pastors.
That's actually interesting because I remember a few years ago seeing like a Rhett and Link video where Rhett was talking about his deconstruction, and he was talking specifically about kids in the church now, where like a lot of people are leaving the church, and like they're just like, why is everyone leaving the church? It's like because they're reading about Jesus and they're getting it and they're realizing, oh, you're not following the actual teachings of Christ, so peace.
Yeah, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
correct. Service is what that's all about. So, by the way,
hey, we got a closet full of canned food that homeless people can come in and get on Thursday afternoons at 1:00. Other than that, they're not allowed in the building, but it's there.
And if they're there, we're gonna call the cops.
Yep, exactly.
Tax churches is what I'm saying. So that's what these.
Yes. Yes. Especially the church I went to. You want to be involved in my
politics? You got to pay the taxes. That's my opinion.
Yep. Yeah.
Man. Anyways, speaking of kind of like watching this at a younger age, I remember my parents getting this movie on Blu-ray like way back in the day when it came out on Blu-ray. And I didn't watch it all the way through because I was just, I think, too young for it to hold my attention at the time. Yeah. And a lot of that has to go to the Coen brothers and how they do pacing, which I think the biggest barrier to entry with this movie is like, how do you feel about how Coen brothers do pacing?
I love Coen brothers. Like, believe it or not, I grew up on Fargo, because it's one of my parents' favorite movies.
On brand.
Thank you. And so I've always been a fan of Coen brothers, and I didn't notice the pacing, but they do have a different pacing than most directors.
Yeah. I think for somebody younger, it's a little bit harder. It's very slow, and like the themes.
It's long too. Yeah.
And the themes get a little bit lost on you sometimes. Well, the thing is, it's only an hour and 40 minutes, which now, by today's standards, is considered a shorter movie. But it feels longer because of how they pace things out. But then
an hour 45.
But then you can also, like, argue at the same time that, like, if you're thinking about, like, Greek epics and Greek mythology and stuff, like, the pacing of that is always, like, very choppy, to say the least. Like, a lot of stuff almost feels like it's happening at random.
Yeah.
So, like, this kind of, I feel like, worked in their wheelhouse, especially this being one of their older movies for the most part. Like, what year did Fargo come out?
That was early 90s, mid-90s.
I was about to say mid-90s, So this is after they were kind of starting to hit their stride, but, like, they definitely have a specific brand of pacing that's a little bit on the slow side. Which works for them, but I feel like for when you're trying to appeal to, you know, younger audiences, it's kind of hard to hold people's attention, especially today.
Yeah, but I would argue that they're not necessarily going after a younger audience.
Oh, absolutely not. I would not.
For sure.
Coen brothers are definitely not making movies for children. That is 110% for sure.
Yeah, probably should have told my parents that.
Did Brie freeze on us?
I think Brie froze on us.
She did freeze on us.
Either that or she's taking a very long time to blink.
She's meditating right now. She's sick of our shit.
She's tuning us out. She's like, religion this week, all the sex stuff last week. I can't. I gotta take a minute.
She's just like, these two white boys dragging me into their podcast just so it's not two white guys in a podcast.
Yep, the token woman. The one-sided conversation.
Hey,
hi, welcome back. We'll get to it.
Put the popcorn buckets away, everybody.
Yes, or get them out.
Welcome to the Pornhub exclusive episode of Internet Friends.
Yeah, what did I miss?
Not much. We're workshopping. I'll probably edit like the section that you crashed out. Like I will probably acknowledge the crash, cut, and then come back into this.
That's perfect. Cause yeah, that was super fucking scary, by the way, because it just like everything froze, and then it was like an analog horror sound just like screaming through my headphones. I was like, what is fucking happening?
Yeah, no,
You
on
got
our
Five
end,
Nights at
basically,
Freddy's?
you were just blinking, and so it looked like you were meditating. Like, basically, you looked basically sick of our
Yeah.
shit. For like a
You looked
solid,
very
like,
serene.
Okay, thank goodness. Let's just say that's what happened. I just was on another plane of existence for a moment, but I'm back now, and I hate it here.
It's like she was possessed by the spirit.
She was happy for 3 whole seconds.
For a brief moment. And here we are.
Now we have to remember where we were at.
Shit. Yes, movie.
We were talking, I think, specifically about comparing to the Odyssey and like some of the stuff. I think we were talking about Joe Goodman's character. And
Yes.
Yeah, and him being a Bible salesman.
Yeah, something, and maybe we need to cut this out too. But I noticed during the KKK scene that when a lot of media presents the KKK, they exclusively talk about people of color. This movie did not shy at all away from the fact that they also hated the Jews.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My main note about the KKK scene, very specifically, was just like, I feel like this feels really familiar, like very, modern and something that we see on a regular basis.
Happening all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was just like a big they were KKK on like a bridge, and they had a big sign up. I forget, but I think that was in Ohio maybe.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, that's fun. What year is it? Okay,
That's great.
just check in.
But like I was thinking more just kind
God.
of like specifically in the language and like kind of, some of the messaging and, specifically the clan leader ends up being, a politician who is like specifically saying I'm a man of the people and like I'm here for you and for all these people here, and just like I'm just like, yeah.
Well, and his whole like I'm gonna clean up the streets. His whole sweeping thing starts to look a little different once you realize exactly what he's wanting to clean up.
Yup.
Yeah, so just like
the only thing is that nowadays they wouldn't have a cross; they'd have a tiki torch.
True. But yeah, no, like I just thought it was funny especially because like, oh hey, this is something that is set like over a century ago and also was made a quarter of a century ago, and we're still dealing with this shit.
Still here. Oh, fun.
Yeah. That's why I have my whiskey on me.
Delmer is a saint, by the way.
Oh god, no, probably my favorite character.
So good. We done been saved.
Yep. just a sweet boy, just trying to do the right thing, cares about his friends, smarter than you give him credit for, but still dumb enough to be lovable.
Yep.
He really thought his friend was turned into a frog, and he really wanted to keep that frog safe. And I'm like, that's very sweet.
Well, given the context they were in, like, I don't blame him for thinking that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, given, like, and I have this note on our topic doc, is like, there's like a level of magical realism to this movie that is like, it never quite goes like full on magical realism, but implies it in a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like after interacting with the sirens, just was like the idea of Pete being turned into a frog is like not crazy.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and Tommy even says when he's describing the devil that he spoke to at the crossroads, it's basically a description of the sheriff that's coming after them.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
And you'll notice that when John Turturro's character is about to be hung, he starts praying, and the sheriff's like, okay, wait. And like, so it's implied that that character actually is the devil.
Yeah. No, they play into a lot of tropes and Southern lore, like obviously like the crossroads is very, famous for like that kind of lore and stuff.
Well, Tommy's directly based off of Robert Johnson,
right?
As well.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think what I really enjoyed about this movie, and I think it's very underrated, is that, yeah, it's an adaptation of the Odyssey, but it's also weirdly a celebration of Southern culture while still being able to criticize it. Which is something we don't talk about enough, because obviously there's a lot of stuff that we can criticize about the South, specifically in their relationship to like slavery and Civil War and a lot of other stuff that happens, but there's a lot of culture that's coming out of that. And I feel like personally we need to get to a point where it's just like, look, we can celebrate this while still acknowledging some of the darker shit about it.
That could be said about America as a whole, though,
Well,
too.
that's history in general, though. And name a culture, there is a dark underbelly to it. Like, period, end of sentence. I send you IRA shit all the time, Seth. From my Irish culture. Like, let's be fair.
Yeah, but we like the IRA.
Official stance of the show.
Yep.
But, like, regardless, it's just, like, there's always, like, a dark underbelly to culture, and instead of, like, being defensive about it, just be like, yes, we did fucked up shit, but here's all the good stuff that's come out of it and how we're trying to move forward and away from it.
Accept it and learn.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all I think anyone's really asking for at the end of the day.
Yes, you have to learn, though. You have to do better. I think that's where we lose a lot of people, where it's just like, yeah, we're not just shitting on it because we hate it. It's like, no, we're actually shitting on it because we love it and we want it to be better. So
yeah, everybody always starts with being defensive every single time instead of just being like self-reflective. And that's always a major problem. It's just like, dude, just accept that you're wrong and that these things happened. And then we can have a conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. We did it. We solved politics and everything
so we did
the world.
Thanks, Coen Brothers and George Clooney.
We fixed everything. I do have a note here. At the end, when the one politician who had been very popular comes out as a racist, and everyone's like, nah, you suck. That song really kicked a lot of ass. And I wrote, music conquers all, even racism.
100%. They're like, yeah, but like this song like rips though.
This song slaps.
I mean, that does say a lot about American culture, where it's just kind of like, it's just like, hey, you suck, and this song's really, really good.
Yeah. I have that song downloaded. I love that song so much. I listen to it all the time.
That song slaps so fucking hard. That's such a good song.
So good.
I was convinced that George Clooney was singing it because it was like pretty seamless. I was like, oh, I can see that it would be his voice, and I was like, oh yeah, no, it's definitely not. But that was pretty interesting.
Quick thing that I heard about the behind the scenes of this movie is that George Clooney has an uncle from that region. And so when trying to get the accent down, he sent the script to his uncle and was like, hey, can you just record yourself reading these lines? And so I can work on this. And he's like, his uncle's a Baptist preacher. And he's like, well, I don't know if we really talk like this over here, but yeah, I'll do it. He sends the tapes back. That's how Clooney learns the script. 2 days into shooting, the Coen brothers come up to him. They're like, hey, why aren't you swearing? And he's like, they're swearing in the script? And they're like, yeah. And it turns out his uncle, what he meant by we don't talk like that over here was we don't swear.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was about to say, this is like one of the cleaner and less like jarring Coen brothers movies I've watched.
Yeah.
Especially considering, like, again, based on the Odyssey, it's just like, it's not super violent except for the cow scene.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, they don't throw anybody into a wood chipper in this one.
Unfortunately, there's some people who should have been in a wood chipper.
There are some, yeah.
A bunch of guys in white hoods like should have probably gone in a wood chipper, but you know, that's just my opinion.
For example,
it's not time period accurate, but it would have been fun to watch.
I'd buy that for $1.
But they do write some good lines. Like they do write some quotable things. You know, we thought you was a toad. Such a great line. That whole scene in the movie theater is phenomenal.
Cute.
Also,
it was good and I liked it. That's
good. I'm glad.
It's also crazy because, like, you know, I think very specifically because, like, this isn't necessarily the youngest you can see George Clooney, but seeing George Clooney in this period is very interesting. And then seeing the other actors, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, they were young at one point.
Yeah. Time. It's going to happen to us all. It's going to kill us all.
Tell that to my hairline. We're all
going to die. Yeah.
Hopefully sooner rather than later, in my case.
So, Today on Seth's
Don't
Therapy
give me
Sessions,
that. Don't take my hope away.
I
Don't
already
give me
made a
that.
therapy
No,
joke
you're
on
gonna
your
live for a
TikTok.
while. Yes, you did. On a post where I'm talking about my alcoholism. Fun times.
Anyways, any
Yeah.
final thoughts on Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Just looking over my notes. So politicians have always been opportunists is a note that I have.
Yeah, that's true.
Accurate.
Tell me something good about it.
I fucking love a Tommy gun. That is the silliest looking gun.
Yeah.
It's a great note. I love that.
Aside from being, highly illegal now, it's just like they were very impractical to use today.
Why is a Tommy gun illegal, but an AK totally fine to have?
It's, as long
Oh,
as
let's get into that.
as the firearm owner of the world, as long as the AK is not fully automatic, it's technically legal.
But we'll sell you an accessory at a gun show that'll make it fully automatic.
Yeah.
There we go.
You can 3D print it off.
I will say publicly, every time I've ever gone to a gun show, I have always said, you know what? I'm okay if most of you people were not allowed to buy guns here today.
Fair. Probably accurate.
Yeah. I used to work down the street from the convention center here locally, and that was always a scary week.
I can't imagine.
And then my final note is early on in the movie when they go to see John Turturro's brother and his son, the kid comes out and says, I'm supposed to shoot anybody from the bank. And I wrote, you should always shoot anyone from the bank.
Agreed. Good policy.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good. I've never seen this before, so thank you for introducing me to it. This wasn't even on my radar, so.
Oh, no, cool. I'm glad you liked it. I didn't realize how difficult it would be to talk about.
I don't think it's difficult. I just think it's there's so many layers to it more than anything else. Like there's so many different directions that you can go with it. It also depends on what kind of headspace you're watching it in.
True.
High as balls.
I was a little high when I watched it, yes.
I was technically working, so.
I actually did have to watch this in 2 sittings because at a certain point I'm like, I can't pay attention anymore. I gotta stop.
I thought it was longer when we were talking about it earlier. I really thought this movie was like 2.5 hours.
Nope.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, again, that goes back to Coen Brothers pacing. They can make a hour-and-a-half movie seem like it's 2.5. Don't know how they do it, but they do it.
Yeah, that's wild.
All right.
But good, yeah.
Well, speaking of our thoughts on movies and television, Seth had pitched this idea talking about internet reviews and how maybe they're possibly ruining movies and television. So, Seth, go ahead and give us a little bit of your thoughts on this.
All right, so this is a trend I've noticed this year specifically. Now, it's the internet. We all know that a middle-of-the-road take, it's not going to get views. No one's going to give a shit. And hate always gets more attention than love. But because of how the algorithm works, I've noticed that recently it has shifted from thing comes out, you see a couple tweets about it, you talk about it in your real life, and then that's it, to for 2-3 solid weeks, the For You page is sending you review after comment after audio clip. And 2 separate ways this has happened to me this year is one with Dune Part 2, where I thought the movie was fine. Dune just isn't for me. Right. But then after 3 weeks of every video on my For You page being how wonderful that movie was, I now hate that movie. I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of talking about it. And the reverse of that happened with House of Dragon Season 2, where I really enjoyed House of Dragon Season 2. A lot of people didn't. And after a week of my For You page being everyone telling me I'm wrong, now I'm annoyed with other people. And I feel the need to overcompensate for no, you all are wrong. You are stupid. I think
this is more or less the same reaction I had to Last Jedi, where it's just like, I thought that was great, and then everybody's shitting on it. I'm just like, you know what? Fuck all you guys.
Yeah. But I think part of what's going on now is that since we are all content creators, because the simple act of posting to social media and the fact that it's like this one-way conversation, it doesn't just end, like I said, when you have that conversation with your friends and then you all move on.
Yeah.
It's being forced to you to where you're like, well, no, I got to join this conversation now and I got to give my 2 cents, mixed with any amount of criticism means the movie is shit.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I kind of thought about this, and this is because literally this week I was writing an entire script around basically how the hell digital algorithms work. And basically algorithms in general reject nuance. They are literally a binary yes or no, true, false, like, process. So it's like, is yes true? Do this. Is no true? Do that. Like, that's how they work. And so therefore algorithms hate nuance. They hate any middle of the road kind of, I don't know how I feel about this, let's have a conversation about it. It always leads down one of those 2 paths. And what we've kind of found with algorithms is that it basically works toward confirmation bias more often than not, where it's going to show you what it thinks you want to hear.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and then it leads you down into an echo chamber or some kind of like weird pipeline. So that's where we get like the alt-right pipeline, where it's just like you started watching a Minecraft video and all of a sudden you're just talking about how, there's water and the poison in the water making frogs gay.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one of those things. And I think specifically kind of about that is like, yeah, like it kind of forces everybody to take a side on something. And if you went into it blind, and so, like, you use the example of House of Dragons, I use the example of Last Jedi. If you go into those things just like, I go in, open mind, maybe I'm excited for it, maybe or not, you form an opinion, and then either something is going to confirm with your opinion or go against your opinion. Either way, it's getting a reaction from you.
Yeah.
And any conversation about it, like, just doesn't, like, kind of include that, like, nuance. It's just like, okay, what am I getting wrong here?
Yeah. No, there is no nuance of like, I really enjoyed the season. Yeah, it dragged a little in areas, but it was still really good. To this season was so fucking slow. It was terrible. Yeah. Why did it take 8 episodes to do that?
Yeah. And like, in fairness, talking about, what we're doing right here in the show that we do, part of the reason I have you guys on and doing homework is that you guys are introducing me to media that I wouldn't necessarily engage with. Like, Brie, you've recommended a lot of stuff that I wouldn't actively choose to watch, Like, Emily watched She-Ra.
Just me? Cool.
Yeah.
No,
like,
that's awesome.
well, like, you have a very specific, angle that you do. You've recommended things like She-Ra and Has-Been Hotel and, Nimona and other things throughout, and those aren't things that like I would have actively been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go watch these things. They're not marketed to me. They're not things that are just like, hey Aaron,
they're not for boys.
It's like, hey, hi cis heterosexual white man, would you like to watch a show about the gays? But because of the show, like, I watch them with the perspective of like, okay, this isn't necessarily for me, but I can at least come at it with an open mind. And most of the time I leave it, it's just like, oh yeah, no, that was really good. Even though it wasn't necessarily a show that I would have actively chosen to watch, it's like, I see why people like it. But then there's other people on the other side of the spectrum who will watch that and go like, this is woke garbage. And I'm just like, dude, if you don't like this shit, don't watch it.
Yeah. Well, it's that clip you sent me a little while ago from that Drew Gooden video that was like, if you've made it to adulthood and you're still consuming content on a regular basis that you don't like, that's a skill issue.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Yeah. No, and like, I appreciate like watching stuff that like is not made for me. That's why like I've enjoyed all the things that Bree's recommended, because it's just like, yeah, no, I wouldn't have watched this, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad it hasn't been miserable for you, but I do agree. I feel like in general, even with shout out to Game Birds, but like being on Game Birds and like having to review things regularly, sometimes we've actually we're kind of worried because we've reviewed almost everything so positively so far, and I was like, oh, I feel like people are gonna fucking hate this or think that we're being dishonest, but like I like even the games that I haven't particularly liked, I'm just like, I see the merit in this, and I'm like, I don't know why people don't I don't things don't have to be that extreme, especially like with nothing's that fucking serious. Like a movie is not that serious. An indie game is not that fucking serious. So it's just like you could still, and especially with the perspective of like, hey, this thing isn't for me, but I really like these things and I could see why this would be perfect for a different person. Like you can have that opinion without being like just spewing vitriol everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be so negative or so super upbeat. Like I would love to see more nuance just in the review space in general. My algorithm is thankfully not like that, so I'm sorry you have to deal with that, Seth.
Yeah,
I built this algorithm. It's my fault.
Yeah. There's two kind of things that kind of go along with that, Brie. Is like one, like you said, like when you're being kind of overly positive about everything, it makes you. We've been conditioned to think that everybody's always so happy about things, it means they're a shill. Or like, and or like you get accused of like, for me, like it's just like, hey, quit being homophobic. It's like, yeah, stop white knighting. I'm just like, all right, fine, fuck you. Just like, like we get conditioned to where it's just like, okay, you either hate a thing or you shut the fuck up about it. Like you don't really get the option, because as soon as you start being positive about things, people like are interested, like instantly distrustful of you. And like we also see this kind of in news media, right? Because like, I come from a journalism background. When I worked in TV, it was always, if it bleeds, it leads. Like we're always reporting on like a horrible accident or some like horrific story of like, somebody getting murdered or like a DUI like crash that had fatalities. Like it's always the first thing we report on. I'm just like, can we just like maybe do some positive things? It's like if we do that, no one's gonna take us seriously if we're just doing only good news.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm just kind of like,
hey, Krasinski made a career out of it for a minute.
Yeah, and what happened to that?
I don't know. I think he sold it off.
Yeah, just eventually.
He turned it into a, like most things, he stole the idea and then sold it to somebody else.
Yeah, typical white man behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like it is one of those things where it's just like we're so conditioned to be mistrustful to positivity, and it kind of sucks because it makes it hard to just enjoy things.
Mm-hmm.
And like Seth said, it's just like if you have a hard time finding stuff that you enjoy media wise, that's a skill issue. Go stop obsessing over stuff that you don't like and go find something you do like.
Yeah. And just like things without the need for validation. I think that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
Like don't see, because you're just gonna make yourself fucking crazy. When you were mentioning this earlier, one of like the biggest like examples I had was when Montero came out, like Lil Nas X's like huge hit from like a couple of years ago, which was very important because it was truly a gay song, and not only a gay song, but a gay song from a black man, which is just like a very like has not been done before. So it's very important. And honestly, when I was so ride or die for that fucking song and for that fucking album, that like I was watching reviews and I was making myself crazy. But I did find one review from Todd in the Shadows where like he was kind of shitting on the song and I was really upset, but then he closes it with like, I recognize that this song is not meant for me. Like I'm a like a hetero dude. Like this song was not made for me. It has a lot of merits. And I see that it's important and that's why it exists. And I was like, can more people do this, please? Like it's just like it doesn't have to be, again, the extreme of either thing. Like we can appreciate the art for what it is. And again, yeah, maybe don't engage with that if you're just upsetting yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it comes down to. It's just like at some point accept the fact that like not everything is made for you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like I'm not like there's something to be said about like not invading other people's spaces and coming in and just shitting on the things that they enjoy. Like that's like at some point you just have to agree to just, hey, you're having fun over here, I'm gonna go have fun over here.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You don't need
this is a really big sandbox we're all living in. You got your toys, I got mine.
Emily and Fox want to say hi.
Hello.
I like the white in your hair, Em. Looks good.
It's very pretty.
Seth says he likes your hair.
I like Seth. Seth is my best friend.
Seth is your best friend, except he doesn't send you TikToks anymore.
He doesn't, and sometimes I cry myself to sleep.
I'm sorry.
She's been complaining about it a lot lately, actually.
What the fuck?
Really? I'm sorry. You don't even follow me on TikTok.
That's not true. He does.
Yeah. No, she doesn't. She's not in my friends. I'm talking to Brie.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not going to.
Discussion about,
Okay.
all of the TikToks that Seth had sent you or was reacting to while we were doing Roundup.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to scroll through stuff and it's just showing like your face is coming up at the top of his screen like constantly, and I was like, do you need to tell me something? Is there something happening? Like, I'm fine with it. I just would really like it to be on the book.
Seth,
I would like to know.
Seth just thinks the things that I send him that I didn't make are funny. He doesn't think I'm funny. He thinks the things I send him are funny.
Oh, that just sums up every relationship I have. All friendships, all everything.
Good.
Look, I still remember you and Emily playing the touch game at Denver Comic-Con.
I was thinking about that the other day. That was fun.
Yep. We gotta do another con soon. What's like a con that's like in the middle of the country that we can all just like easily get to?
I don't know.
There's gotta be like a dragon
well,
hey.
or something.
With MPOX coming up, we might be going into another quarantine, so it might not matter.
Oh yeah, that'll go over well with all the conservatives.
Yeah. Tell
There's a
Em I'm
COVID update
sorry.
too,
I'll try
so.
sending more texts. Ah, fuck.
Steph says he's sorry and he wished that you loved him.
I do love him!
Wow. No, I said I would send her more memes. I'm gonna try.
Abundantly clear, I also love Brie. That's important.
Love you too.
Well, it's because you're both bisexual princesses. It's fine.
Hell yeah.
Hey, women can support other women without it being a bisexual thing.
Seth is also a bisexual princess, so
True.
True.
you're like, well,
You're my 3 bisexual princesses, and then I'm just the straight white dude who's here.
you're the token straight
I'm
prince.
the token straight on thin ice.
Yeah, 100%.
But
Oh,
in fairness,
good,
like
good.
I'm the straight who will like look at like certain men and be like, I get it.
Yeah, good. That's
Alright.
healthy. We love that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Emily, for derailing the entire show.
It's okay. It's a nice little break. We love that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so who's ready to get murdered by Disney?
Oh. Well, I got a Disney Plus free trial, which means my life is forfeit to them.
Yep. There's a sniper right outside right now, just waiting.
I legitimately, though, I am fascinated by Disney as a corporation. I don't really care about anything else. I just love how evil they are, yet they front as this family-friendly thing. And the parks are okay.
And they toe
It's
that
interesting,
and
yeah.
they toe that line so well.
They really do.
Yeah.
And people love them.
Like-
People eat it up. They don't care, honestly. Like, they are so blatant about how fucking evil. Like, this, I was mentioning this in the pre-show, but like, this story is fucking wild to me. But at the same time, I was like, no, this makes complete fucking sense. Of course they would do that. And they only backpedaled when a couple people got mad about it. So, like, they were
Yeah.
gonna go forward with this. Like, they didn't fucking care. So,
They
but I
did
mean, we
not.
Yeah.
have Disney adults that like will shill for them like nonstop. So,
Yeah. Well, I think it's like very indicative of like Disney's culture because basically, as far as I can tell, their legal team is basically just has the mandate of just like whatever comes through, make it go away. We don't
Yeah.
give a shit
Mm.
how you do it, just make sure it goes away. And so I guess they basically didn't have a very good response to it, and so the first thing that they latched onto is just like, well, they signed up for Disney Plus.
We should probably explain what's happening for people who don't know.
Yeah.
No.
So
No.
for people who live under a rock.
Yes. For people who live under a rock, a couple went to Disney, asked about a food allergen thing at one of the restaurants, were reassured, nope, all our food's safe. Person ate it, died. Disney is now claiming, or was, they've backpedaled on this, claiming that because in the terms of services of Disney Plus, that if you have an issue with Disney, it has to go through third-party arbitration. He was not allowed to sue Disney over the wrongful death of his wife.
Right.
Which is ridiculous. And you know they were trying to pull something here because who reads the terms and services?
Right.
They
Of
were
course.
trying it.
Right, and like that, and that's the kind of basic thing where it's just like and like I even have as a note on our thing, it's like, at what point do we acknowledge that the term of service means nothing at this point?
it has to, right?
Like at
Mhm.
some point, we all have to acknowledge there's no way you can make these legally binding anymore.
Well, I think I read too that in some countries they aren't if they're like over 10 pages, because it has to be reasonable that someone would read it for
Yeah.
it to be legally binding, and most of them are like 50 to 100 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, but going back to my point, it's just like I'm pretty sure Disney's legal team, which I'm sure is just basically in-house lawyers, they don't have like a firm or anything on retainer. It's just like we have more money than God. We could just have lawyers in-house that we pay.
Of course.
And like, their standing mandate is just like anything that comes through just needs to go away. Like, just don't. And so I think this was just one of those cases where it's just like, it's bizarre. It got media coverage, and the fact that basically your only real legal defense was like, again, trying to tie a wrongful death that happened on Disney property to the fact that they had a Disney Plus subscription, which is like not remotely related. Just like that thing is just like legal team's not talking to the PR team. PR team can't tell legal team to be like, hey, that's stupid and gonna bite us in the ass. It's just like, yeah, just like there's nothing wrong.
This is the same company though that has sent cease and desist letters to nurseries for putting up unlicensed Disney characters.
Yeah.
So like I think PR doesn't really give a shit. Like honestly.
No, they definitely don't. But like, yeah, like Disney has a very, and like I have in the doc here, like they have a history of being very aggressive with legal action. Like, the only other comparison I can make is Nintendo and how they approach, legal action. But like, they've been avoiding public domain on so many things for so long. I mean, copyright enforcement's very aggressive.
They've literally changed the laws on public domain so that they could hold on to them.
Which is hilarious because a lot of the stuff that they made, especially in the earlier days, was public domain stories that they were able to make content about. Like they were literally grim fairy tales that they adapted into animated movies. And yet they're basically just like, yeah, but we're not letting Mickey Mouse get into public domain.
No.
You can have Steamboat Willie, but we're not giving you Mickey.
What?
Good boy, Bo. Get him, Bo.
What?
Get him, Bo.
Hey, come here. Come here.
Was he under the couch? It looked like he crawled out like a little gremlin.
He was. He likes it down there. Hey, come here.
It's okay, Bo.
Yeah, he likes sleeping down there. All right, I'm going to mute for a sec.
Yeah, it's all good.
Oh, he's just excited.
Oh, but scratchies.
Now this is just dog commentary.
Exactly.
So, wow, what a good dog.
This is such an off the rails show. Bree's crash, Emily's commentary. Yeah. Now we have Bo.
I love it.
Yeah, but I think someone's at the door.
Oh, okay.
Or he heard the fox. We got a fox that runs around out there.
Yeah, you were
he hates it.
It happens. But yeah, kind of going back to like other things that they do, like they basically have sovereign territory within Florida, which there's been very public debates about that. And it's one of those things where it's just like, don't make me agree with DeSantis. Not what I want to do right now.
No one wants that.
No.
So yeah, it's
that Onion article. Oh no, the worst person you know made a good point.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I mean, Disney's gonna Disney. They are such a huge corporate entity, and as we have said many times, official stance of the show: corporations are not your friends, kids.
Nope.
No.
Like, as much as you maybe love their content and love the things, they don't care about you. They care about the money that you have that they think is theirs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally die in their park. They do not care.
And they'll literally move your body off the park and say that you died off of their park.
Uh-huh.
That is a thing that they've done.
So they have a huge issue with people spreading ashes in the Haunted Mansion ride.
Really?
Have you guys heard that? Yeah.
No.
And they've had to put out statements. They've had to put out statements being like, please don't. They're just, your family's going to get vacuumed up at the end of the day. Like, please stop spreading ashes in our park.
But they love Disney.
Yeah.
I think you sent me the thing that they have, like, the pop punk album they were
Yeah!
making all the covers, and like it was Magnolia Park, which is obviously a great band. Everybody should check them out. But they were just like, hey, Disney adults. It's just like, how dare you call me a Disney adult? The song's great, it slaps, but don't ever call me a Disney adult.
Yeah, so Magnolia Park did a cover of Eye to Eye from the Goofy movie soundtrack.
Yep.
And it is so good.
So good.
A great song.
It is.
I think that's the thing that makes it works, is just like, look, Disney makes good shit.
Yeah.
Or made good
More
shit.
for the most
They
part.
can. They have.
I mean, like most major corporations, they do make good things every now and again. They do make crappy shit. It happens. But
Yep.
they have a lot of stuff. People have nostalgia for it. But yeah, just remember, kids, they just want your money.
Yeah. So what do you want to have happen to your guys' ashes when you die? Are you going for burial? You doing something old fashioned?
I'm leaning toward donating body to science, and I would like them to.
No one's taking your liver.
No, I am an organ donor, so let's make that very clear.
So am I.
Yeah, organ donor, but yeah, absolutely don't take my liver. Just little professional courtesy, but no, like I'm just like, I've always had just like, dude, like, go use my carcass for like testing how explosive works or something. Just like go nuts. Launch me into
that's a good one.
Launch me to the sun, if anything. Like I'm just like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I don't care what you guys do with it after it's done.
I've honestly never thought about it. So,
no? I've been thinking about it way too much recently.
We're all just space dust at the end of the day, so just make me space dust again. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm okay. Maybe it's because I like have pretty like older parents and they talk about death a lot, and I also work with older people and they talk about death a lot, so I don't want to think about my own death.
That will kill it. Yeah.
I would say it would be kind of cool if I could identify like one album that I really, really like and have like my ashes pressed into a vinyl.
Oh,
cool. That's pretty neat.
That'd be neat. I'm Viking funeral all the way. I want to be put in a little canoe, a good one. Pushed out to sea and set on fire.
That's a very good one. I like that one. We're mentally healthy on this show, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
Please. I do not need a wellness check called on me, by the way. I am fine.
The pile of laundry in the corner says otherwise.
Those are dog toys.
Oh.
Those are all his toys.
But it's just like, don't lie to them. Those aren't toys. You are my toy.
Go get your octopus. Go get your... Okay, no.
Right.
He says, Dad.
Yeah. You've been talking too long. Give me attention.
Oh, there he goes.
All right. Well.
Yeah, see? He's got his water over there.
Well, speaking of consistency of Disney, they have canceled The Acolyte officially. And
yes.
Yes,
the toxic fans won out.
Yeah, they aren't getting a season 2, and there's actually growing concern online that they might pull The Acolyte from Disney Plus and like not make it available. Apparently, they also did this with Willow show from back in the day.
Oh, right, they did do that. Yeah,
and they've also been
back in the day, a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago. But they also have been pulling Acolyte merch from certain online storefronts, so there's kind of growing concern about that. And
allegedly, though, because I think that article says that like it might have just been cycled out also because there wasn't a lot of that merch.
Yeah.
So
I mean, again, we're not gonna pretend that like Disney's going to do anything good or bad here, but there's always that potential. But I think it kind of raises a point that I kind of read online. It's just like, is the direct to streaming model even working at this point? Because especially on the Disney side, these are such large budget productions that they have to do, and there's almost no way for them to make that budget back on based on how like streaming currently works, because they don't have a solid ad revenue. You're not getting ticket sales from going to see anything in theaters, and so it's just like one of those things where it's just like, why even put all this money into shows that you don't even know are going to work? And Star Wars at this point, like as far as I'm concerned, it's just like, maybe you need to stick Star Wars in the vault for a little while.
Please leave it alone for a while. Good fucking God.
They've
been hitting it way too hard.
This news that she was not aware of, apparently.
Oh no.
I guess we're watching the Alkalite this weekend before they take it off of Disney now. Which means I
Have
now
either
have
of
to
you
catch
watched
up on.
it?
I haven't watched it.
not.
I mean, I need to catch up on Andor. I think I only got to see episode 6 on Andor, so I still have to finish that. I need to finish Ahsoka. There's a couple of other Star Wars things I haven't watched. Like, again, I've been on Star Wars burnout for so long, and like, you know, I either need to get back on the horse or just accept the fact that maybe I'm not a Star Wars fan anymore.
That's where I'm at. I think I'm just like, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I don't like this actually.
Maybe I hate this?
Is this
Huh.
bad the whole
It's not
time?
even. Again, going back to like our conversation about reviews, it's not even that say that I hate it. I'm just like, maybe I'm just not into this anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just no longer my thing. Because like it sucks because somebody who's like always like identified as a Star Wars fan, I have like the lightsaber, I have a model Boba Fett over here that you know I built and like all this other kinds of stuff. Like I love Star Wars, but just recent Star Wars media hasn't been fun for me.
Sorry, I have to interject one thing as your spouse. We're married. We have a dog.
We know.
I've never seen Aaron as happy as he was when the trailer came out for The Force Awakens. Never.
Correction, I was probably happier in the opening Millennium Falcon scene.
You may have
Correction.
been. I couldn't see it.
I was-
We were in a theater.
I'm pretty sure I was grinning like an idiot through that entire scene.
I'm pretty certain that if we ever had a child, still not reaching the level of the Force Awakens trailer and the joy.
Priorities. Yeah, I get it.
It's been
I went
it's
to-
been 11 years, just so you know.
I know.
What? Since Force
I just think that
Awakens?
counts as
No.
Star Wars.
Oh, since you guys. Oh. Okay,
No,
that
no.
makes more sense.
Force Awakens, the trailer came out in 2013.
Oh, okay.
So it's been 11 years.
Jeez.
Jeez. I remember I saw that opening night with my girlfriend at the time.
Yep.
And like, you know, the big like 20th Century Fox. I don't think they used the 20th Century Fox thing,
No,
but
they
the
didn't.
LucasArts thing came up, and everyone like applauded. And right as it died down before the big da, 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 I leaned into my girlfriend and went, "What if it sucks?"
Yes.
Pretty good.
I don't think I had like the what if it sucks until I went to see Rise of Skywalker. That was the only time where I was just like, this is gonna suck, isn't it?
Oh, this is gonna be bad.
it-
Somehow,
it's the-
Palpatine returned. They fly now.
It's yeah, that was literally the first time I went into a Star Wars movie knowing like I'm probably not gonna be happy by the time I leave the theater today.
I've never seen it, and I'm pretty happy about that, to be honest.
That's fair.
I haven't seen it either. We've talked about it before. The closest I've gotten is the Lego game.
I can't recommend it.
No.
I've never been more disappointed in a movie.
Oh,
And I've
wow.
seen Madam Web.
I liked Madam Web. That was a good bad movie.
Here's the thing: Emily has seen Madam Web twice. She was very psyched about it the first time she went to go see it. The second time she saw it is because she needed somebody else besides me to watch it with her to show him how bad it was.
I need somebody to talk to about this.
Here's the thing: I do recommend Madam Web as a bad movie to watch. It's the first time.
It's on streaming.
It is.
Getting back to the topic at hand, streaming has always been really interesting because, like you said, they're investing millions and millions and millions of dollars into these shows, and at a certain point, their subscriber base is going to cap off, and you're not
Yeah.
going to be making any more money from it.
That's become the
And
Netflix
so, like-
problem, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix hasn't been profitable ever, and they've been relying on investments.
Right. Well, they even like how they measure the success of a show is now just like algorithmically based. Like again, going back to algorithms, where it's just like they look at specifically the amount of viewership on the show versus like how many actual subscribers there are, and then like you're trying to be like, how many new subscribers did we get from this? And it's just like the reality is, it's just like you're not getting any new subscribers for a lot of these shows, so
Mhm.
you're not creating any growth off of them. So it's just like
No.
yeah. So the model just doesn't work. And like this isn't the first time we've seen like especially internet based media like basically it's like how are we supposed to make money off of this? Like hell, the porn industry, I'm still just like, how does anybody make money off of this?
Yeah.
Like this is definitely something. This is something absolutely being funded by a rich white dude somewhere. There's no way that this like is actually making money for anybody.
No. But yeah, but at the same time, it's ruining all media because now, like, oh, we've got it on our streaming service. There's no reason to keep making Blu-rays. There's no reason to keep making. I mean, Sony just recently announced that they're going to stop making writable Blu-rays to sell to people.
Yeah.
So, like, and any kind of CD format or anything.
Yeah, they've been having a lot of conversations. Like, physical media, for that reason, is making a very big comeback, and so is piracy in a lot of ways. And like I've seen multiple things of people showing it's just like here's the step by step and what you need to be able to rip your Blu-rays to a hard drive.
Oh yeah.
Like, and so a lot of people are like working toward that now because like media companies are, taking things off of their streaming platforms, not making them available anywhere else, not licensing things out. They're killing movies before they even come out for tax write-offs. Like, It's a problem. It's an inherent problem, and it's just one of those things. Like, I get that, like, you guys are spending a ton of money on this stuff, and you guys have to make money to make it justifiable, but also at the same time, it's like, you're not going to make any more money if you just take it away.
No, not at all. Especially when there are people who want to see it. And, like, if you're going to pull it off streaming service, at least make it available digitally so that somebody can buy it.
Yeah.
Make it... release a Blu-ray.
Yeah. And also make it downloadable to like local copy. Don't keep it on a service somewhere where like
goddamn Apple.
Like I had an entire thing recently. Hank Green like put up a thing about like his entire like history on YouTube, and then somebody commented, "Is like release the DVD box set," and he's just like, nobody wants that. And multiple people
do.
And people just like people do, and like I even like pointed to the examples, like Emily has the box set of the Lizzie Bennet Diaries literally sitting over there. A web series you made that has a DVD box set. And she has made multiple people watch it with her. Like it matters to people, and people will buy it. I'm not saying a ton of people will buy it, but like there is a market for that. And like also just like, yeah, does the math make sense on it? No, but you're also somebody who sells a lot of stuff on charitable donations and everything else. So like even if you just do a limited run for the people who do want it, you can make it make sense.
That's a great model, actually. I think that would be very smart, because I'm like, and maybe I'm in the minority on this, but I was like, I really don't want to go back to like owning DVDs and shit. Like especially with like apartment prices these days, like, I can only afford a studio. It's not gonna I'm not gonna have 800 fucking DVDs in my apartment or whatever the fuck. So I'm just like, I think that's actually a limited time deal might be where they could get that money back, especially it's like, sorry, we're only going to have it for 48 hours. I've bought many a thing because it was limited time. So.
But again, let me pay $5 for a local copy that sits on a hard drive. You can put whatever DRM, whatever thing that you need on it to make sure I can't just like ISO sell it off. And whatnot. Yeah, that's fine, but at least let it live locally so I don't have to rely on you and your platform to keep it around. Because reality is, YouTube one day can go away. Amazon Prime can go away. Like, these things are not permanent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, even if you buy it on like the Apple Marketplace or whatever they're calling that store now, if they decide, hey, we don't want to carry this anymore and you didn't download it, goodbye. Like, make it easier to still be accessible once these licenses are up.
Yeah.
Especially if you paid for it. That's fucking horseshit. Good God.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things where it's just like, we're more and more of these companies are trying to go to a model where it's just like, you don't own anything. And it's just like, no, I paid money for it, which is why I'm never going to feel guilty about like, I remember owning this game in the 90s when I played it on N64, so I'm not going to feel bad about running it on an emulator. Sorry, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Just, is what it is.
But then you got to get the emulator to work, and it's just...
Yeah, it's not hard.
What a hassle.
I have a Mac, dude. It's hard.
Okay, well, yeah, that's
Oh.
your fault.
Yeah, that's on you.
Yeah.
I built my computer myself. I can get anything to work on this thing if I try hard enough.
Mine's pre-built, but whatever.
No shame, except for Seth as a Mac.
Yeah.
Yes, all the shame.
I just like things to be easy, unless they're made by a company that's not Apple.
Fair.
Yes, because Apple
I
is
have an
known for
iPhone.
being
I understand.
easy.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, Logic works so super smoothly, super smoothly. And, yeah, iMovie's great.
I'm in the like camp of just kind of like I've spent so long basically not using Apple products that trying to use Apple products now it's just like none of this makes sense to me.
I'm surprised with the phones because they're basically just Android now.
Yeah, well, even that, I remember getting a Apple phone when I was working at Discovery as like my work phone, and I was just like, I got the iPhone just because it's like, well, I have an Android personal phone, I'll get an Apple, product for my work phone, and then that way I can have all the work things on both platforms because I had to, test apps and product stuff on them, and I was just like, I have no idea where the fuck anything's supposed to be on this thing.
Interesting.
The user
That's how I feel with any Android phone, to be honest with you. When my coworkers hand me, they're like, "Can you take a photo?" I was like, "How? How do I do
But
it?"
yeah, but like the thing is, it's not a like Apple versus Android thing. It's a what are you used to thing.
100%, yeah.
That's fair,
So
yeah.
like Android and Windows is intuitive to me because I use it all the time. So when I go to Mac OS, it's just like, I've had this conversation with Seth because like I've been trying to move off of Adobe softwares, and like I've been testing out a bunch of open source stuff that are alternatives, and they're all clunky as hell and horrible to work with. And I'm just like, I don't want to keep using Adobe stuff, but this stuff sucks. And there's open source softwares that are really, really great. I've been using a couple of things that work awesome, but then there's always just like one thing that just breaks or just doesn't work the way I want it to and makes it hard for it to use.
Yeah. Well, and you're also used to that workflow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're having to learn the new software while it's not working properly.
Yeah. And it's like one of those things where it's just like, and the reason that it doesn't work the way I want it to is because they can't have it basically be a carbon clone of this other software, even though it's like expressly trying to replace it. So it has to be different. They even have to use different language for different features, which makes it harder.
Different keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah. Exactly.
When I switched from Pro Tools to Logic, that really fucked me up for a little while.
Literally just trying to resize like a text graphic. Like literally it's just like, why am I going through these menus just to resize text? Why can't I just do a simple like keystroke or just like drag my mouse? Just infuriating.
Yeah.
Anyways, corporations suck.
They do. Sorry, I
Yeah.
gotta pop my back.
Capitalism's not good. That's our thesis today and always. Turns out it doesn't work, actually.
Hey, take one off on line, go up.
Thing is, it's working exactly as it's supposed to.
It sure fucking is.
Yeah. Anyways, that leads to our homework assignment for next week, which, funnily enough, I'm going to have us watch episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Hey! All right.
I've never seen it.
I know Bree's never seen it, and it's always fun to revisit because I'm gonna argue out of all the Star Wars movies ever made, that one does not hold up.
It's why it's cut out of the machete method, which is why I've never seen it, because it doesn't have any new information.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff, especially since we've all watched some of Clone Wars. Watching this movie with more of the context from Clone Wars changes some of the way that you view stuff, but like it's a very clunky movie. So I'm not going into this like I hope you guys like it. I'm going just like let's talk about what George Lucas did wrong.
Let's talk about something bad.
This will be interesting. I have no context for this movie at all. So
I'm mostly looking forward to how you're going to react to it, Bree. So I think this is going to be really fun. Anyways,
Yeah.
so that's it for our show today, everybody. I am TCK Media on most platforms. You have that Seth23, who you can find occasionally, inebriated on TikTok, bitching about the world.
I'm sorry.
And you
not.
have Raccoonaloon, who you can
No.
catch on Game Birds every Monday, talking about indie games with her friend Alice and having a good time. And we
Every
appreciate
other Monday, but yes.
every other Monday. Basically, once you see this episode, the Games Birds is probably showing up. I absolutely listen to Games Birds. It's a great show.
Thank
And
you.
anyways, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.